CSCS Book Notes Ch13 31 questions. Question 1. Faster muscle contraction and relaxation of agonist and antagonist muscles, improvement in rate of force development and reaction time, increase muscle strength and power, decrease viscous resistance in muscle, increase oxygen delivery, increase blood flow and enhanced metabolic reactions. A. Specific warm-up. B. Effects of warm-up. C. General warm-up. D. Warm-up. Question 1. Answer: B. Effects of warm-up. Question 2. 5 to 10 minutes of slow activity to increase heart rate, blood flow, deep muscle temperature, respiration rate and perspiration, and decrease viscosity of joint fluids. A. Warm-up. B. Effects of warm-up. C. Specific warm-up. D. General warm-up. Question 2. Answer: D. General warm-up. Question 3. Does not elit negativ? If so, static and PNF stretching and increase performance. A. Static stretching. B. Dynamic stretch. C. Active stretch. D. Dynamic stretching. Question 3. Answer: D. Dynamic stretching. Question 4. Concentric muscle contraction of the agonist. A. Ballistic stretch. B. Active stretch. C. Agonist contraction. D. Autogenic inhibition. Question 4. Answer: C. Agonist contraction. Question 5. Minutes post-exercise to stretch. A. 15 to 30. B. Warm-up. C. ROM. D. 5 to 10. Question 5. Answer: D. 5 to 10. Question 6. Functionally based stretching exercise. Sport-specific movements, aka mobility drills, avoids bouncing movements, more controlled than ballistic. No stretch reflex triggered. A. Dynamic stretch. B. Passive stretch. C. Ballistic stretch. D. Dynamic stretching. Question 6. Answer: A. Dynamic stretch. Question 7. Seconds to hold static stretch. A. 5 to 10. B. 15 to 30. C. Warm-up. D. ROM. Question 7. Answer: B. 15 to 30. Question 8. Performed with a partner and has 3 phases, with both passive and active phases, superior to other types of stretching. Go passive, then contract downward, or the way that goes against resistance, and faciliate contaction, hold relax, contract relax, hold relax with agonist contraction. A. PNF. B. ROM. C. 5 to 10. D. Warm-up. Question 8. Answer: A. PNF. Question 9. Active muscular effort and uses a bouncing type movement where position is not held. Pre-exercise warm-up is when it's typically used, triggers stretch reflex. A. Dynamic stretch. B. Active stretch. C. Ballistic stretch. D. Passive stretch. Question 9. Answer: C. Ballistic stretch. Question 10. Can increase muscle temperature, core temperature, and increase blood flow, and also disrupt transient connective tissue bonds. A. Warm-up. B. ROM. C. PNF. D. 5 to 10. Question 10. Answer: A. Warm-up. Question 11. Preferred form of stretching pre-exercise. A. Static stretching. B. Dynamic stretch. C. Dynamic stretching. D. Ballistic stretch. Question 11. Answer: C. Dynamic stretching. Question 12. The relaxation that occurs within the muscle that is experiencing the tension. A. Static flexibility. B. Reciprocal inhibition. C. Autogenic inhibition. D. Agonist contraction. Question 12. Answer C. Autogenic inhibition. Question 13. Avalible ROM during active movements, voluntary greater ROM than static ROM. A. Dynamic flexibility. B. Dynamic stretching. C. Flexibility. D. Static flexibility. Question 13. Answer A. Dynamic flexibility. Question 14. Same as hold relax. A. Active stretch. B. Contract relax. C. Stretch reflex. D. Hold relax. Question 14. Answer B. Contract relax. Question 15. Tendency to assume a new or greater length after a stretch. A. Flexibility. B. Elasticity. C. Plasticity. D. PNF. Question 15. Answer C. Plasticity. Question 16. Determined by a number of factors including connective tissue structure, activity level, age and sex. A. ROM. B. 5 to 10. C. PNF. D. Warm-up. Question 16. Answer A. ROM. Question 17. Ability to return to original testing length after passive stretch. A. Flexibility. B. Elasticity. C. Plasticity. D. 15 to 30. Question 17. Answer B. Elasticity. Question 18. Degree of movement that occurs around a joint. A. PNF. B. 5 to 10. C. Warm-up. D. ROM. Question 18. Answer D. ROM. Question 19. Time before athletic performance goal being to prepare athlete mentally and physically for exercise. A. PNF. B. ROM. C. 5 to 10. D. Warm-up. Question 19. Answer D. Warm-up. Question 20. Passive pre-stretch for 10 seconds at mild discomfort, then contract, then relax, then passive stretch for 30 seconds. A. 15 to 30. B. 5 to 10. C. Hold relax. D. Contract relax. Question 20. Answer C. Hold relax. Question 21. Occurs when a partner provides the force for a stretch. A. Active stretch. B. Passive stretch. C. Ballistic stretch. D. Dynamic stretch. Question 21. Answer B. Passive stretch. Question 22. Measure of ROM and has static and dynamic components. A. Elasticity. B. Plasticity. C. Dynamic flexibility. D. Flexibility. Question 22. Answer D. Flexibility. Question 23. Designed to prepare an athlete for training or competition and can increase performance and lessen risk of injury. A. 5 to 10. B. ROM. C. Warm-up. D. PNF. Question 23. Answer C. Warm-up. Question 24. Identical to hold relax in first two phases, during third phase a concentric action of the agonist is used in addition to the passive stretch in attentional. A. Agonist contraction. B. Autogenic inhibition. C. Hold relax. D. Hold relax with agonist contraction. Question 24. Answer D. Hold relax with agonist contraction. Question 25. might increase performance when ROM is important, but can decrease performance, force production, power, performance, running speed, reaction and movement time, and endurance strength. A. Active stretch. B. Static stretching. C. Dynamic stretching. D. Dynamic stretch. Question 25. Answer B. Static stretching. Question 26. Occurs when the person stretching supplies the force for the stretch. A. Passive stretch. B. Ballistic stretch. C. Dynamic stretch. D. Active stretch. Question 26. Answer D. Active stretch. Question 27. Range of possible movement about a joint and its surrounding muscles through passive movement requires no voluntary muscular activity. External forces provide force for stretch. A. Dynamic flexibility. B. Static flexibility. C. Flexibility. D. Static stretching. Question 27. Answer B. Static flexibility. Question 28. The relaxation that occurs in the muscle opposing the muscle experiencing tension. A. Agonist contraction. B. Autogenic inhibition. C. Reciprocal inhibition. D. Plasticity. Question 28. Answer C. Reciprocal inhibition. Question 29. Movements similar to sport dynamic stretching 8 to 12 minutes long high-intensity dynamic exercises sport-specific. A. General warm-up. B. Effects of warm-up. C. Specific warm-up. D. Warm-up. Question 29. Answer C. Specific warm-up. Question 30. Motor neuron causes muscle action of the previous stretched muscle happens in extrafusal muscles stretched. Response triggers intrafusal fibers and muscle spindles. A. Hold relax. B. 15 to 30. C. Contract relax. D. Stretch reflex. Question 30. Answer D. Stretch reflex. Question 31. Aims to increase range of motion around a joint. A. Plasticity. B. Dynamic flexibility. C. Flexibility. D. Elasticity. Question 31. Answer C. Flexibility.